Let's jump into our discussion. We know how this works, uptake. The principal question that we're going to work with here, everybody should have this chart based on your exposure to the readings and the information that you have about yourself and what we went over in class. Where did you place yourself? Justify it. And then we will have a discussion about within class to see whether we agree with our personal applications or personal location versus what we think.
So does our location, does it extend to all the different different lines? Are we just doing how far we are along the continuum, or does it also?
Place yourself on the x-axis here.
Okay, so we're just
Right. So
we're ignoring the different interests and strategies for now.
So let's imagine that each one of these interests, the two are coupled. Let's imagine the processing strategies are coupled and that the knowledge domain and topic is coupled. I would look at where you are in relation to each one, your interest level, your strategy levels, your knowledge, and then maybe average or within the range of what you've described. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah? Okay. Take a minute to do that. Be very clear, purposeful, agentic, while I pull this up. Yeah, or whatever thing that you care for that you think you're most likely to be or not be an expert.
In terms of, if we're considering our majors as names, I would say I'm probably around here. I think some topics, less experienced with, but I still feel confident in them that we've gone over. And I think some of them I'm borderline where not much.
Oh my goodness.
And so I would put myself as late competence because I feel like there is more, so whatever you think you're doing to learn, there's always a bit more after that.
I don't think this
Yeah.
I think for the most part there's very little stuff in engineering that try to get it from the surface. That's like controversial. It really does. There's a lot of situations. And I think my individual interests heavily outweigh situational interest in essentially all of us.
Yeah.
I'm always thinking about how to benefit my future skills and
There's so many things we talk about in this class that relate to what you want to do, and that's why I guess particularly STEM technical fields is applicable, but I feel like most students something about learning is pretty.
Okay, all right, everybody, great conversation. Who would like to be our first lucky volunteer to make the claim about their own expertise and then get judged by our lovely cast here? That is vetoed. Who would like to go next? I respect the position. Who wants to go? That I go first. You know what? Okay, that is a good suggestion. I will do that. I will concede. I'll ask the question, where do you think I am? Or where do you think I would put myself?
Expertise.
I think that highly of myself? You think that I have chosen to forego earnings to be here because I think I'm an expert? Interesting. I don't know what that says about my actual knowledge that I've displayed versus my arrogance. But so most people are saying like, okay, within proficiency and expertise, is that going to be the yays? Do I have anybody that says no?
You're pursuing a PhD, but you don't have it either, right?
No, unfortunately.
I would
Yeah.
put you like just to the right of the line between competence and expert.
So right here?
Yeah, because I think expertise, or what I was saying in the reading, is it's not a destination, but it's kind of a journey, and I think you're in the journey.
I like that. That's a great point. That's what happens when you read. That's what the reading summaries are for. Thank you, Cole. I'm going to cite that when I talk to my advisor and she disagrees with me, and I say, actually, I am an expert. Hello, hello, welcome. You might want to grab one of those charts. Okay. I would actually put myself, I would probably put myself here. So like the beginning of late competence. I think I would be doing a disservice to just say the reason why. Why do you think I am putting myself here as opposed to being an expert? What I'm really asking is for everybody who, the underlying question is everybody who put themselves in expertise here, why would this make more sense? At least for me. Yeah.
It's like there's always something new for you to learn, and like you can't be like a full expert until like no one can be like a full expert because there's always something new to learn and discover.
I think that is the best starting point to go off of. Yes. In here, before I actually answer that, I want to see other people's positions because I will give like a definitive answer as to why I put myself there as to not here. It's a categorical answer. We can disagree with it or not, but there is an answer. Did anybody put themselves? This is your major in acclamation. Okay, freshman. What are you? Freshman. Freshman. Who else? Sophomore. Sophomore? Freshman. I think that's respectable. That's great bucketing here. That's now that could be why. Why did we put ourselves in acclamation? Yes.
I mean, I've only taken 2 major classes so far, and I feel like I would put myself like, for me, it was like kind of where like interest didn't necessarily line up with the other two, because I feel like there's a lot of stuff I still don't know, but my interest is kind of more higher than it would be like for the individual versus situational. So I put myself kind of in the middle, like in the middle of the acclamation zone.
Mm-hmm.
I did come in with like, I mean, human development is its own thing, but I did come in with prior knowledge of psych and sociology and dual enrollment and stuff.
Right.
So I put myself kind of in the middle of that acclamation zone. What's going on?
Sorry.
Is something going on here?
There's a giant bug and it just moved. I'm sorry.
Oh. Okay. I'll go get a paper towel. Does somebody want to go do that instead of the instructor? Joey, can you go get a paper towel? Thank you. And we will fix that. Thank you. Is it moving?
Okay. Oh no. Dang. That guy's so mean for real.
I mean, you don't have to look, but. All right, Joey's going to come fix that for us. I got a guy named Joey. Okay, let's get back to class while that is getting cleaned up. It's not moving anymore, is it?
Yes, it is.
Cockroaches can survive nuclear apocalypses.
Joey's going to come back and be like, why did you send me out of this class?
Oh no.
Has anybody read, what's the Kafka story?
Oh, metamorphosis?
Yeah. Yes?
I don't remember those like kids books.
The android
Okay.
wars?
Thank you.
No, I don't.
I'll throw this away outside of the class. Oh, there's like a leg left if you want to.
See, the issue is that the men's bathroom and the other side.
Yeah.
Well, there's.
Do you want to grab the leg? Yeah, they'll help you find it. They really can. Thank you, Joey. Everybody give a round of applause for Joey. Thank you. You can throw it away. You don't have to keep it.
Souvenir.
This is what you leave the job fair with. Okay, so our initial point here was you come in, you are basically applying, you said you had different placements along the continuum for the different, with relation to strategies, knowledge, and then interest. But it came back to the sort of the middle of acclimation generally. You have some knowledge, but in relation to the features here, that's where you kind of fall, right?
Yeah, I think it was, like in the middle of the acclimation zone of the right state.
Perfect. Okay. I think that's a good justification. People that put themselves in competence here, let me see why raise of hands. Everybody else is an expert? So if you are in early, middle, late competence, raise your hand. High. Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. I think that is the vast majority of people. Who wants to explain why and where particularly they put themselves in with respect to like your experiences and stuff? Terrence.
So I put myself around late competence, just because my
Around, like beginning late, middle late, late.
I didn't segment that finely, so
Somewhere here.
yeah.
About 20% late.
20%. From the beginning.
Because
Yeah.
deep processing for me is like pretty much higher, like noticeably higher than surface level.
Okay.
And situational is noticeably lower than individual interest.
Right.
I feel like I consider sort of the long-term ramifications of how I can apply the stuff I'm learning.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of the knowledge, I feel like I've linearly picked up a considerable amount, but it's hard to sort of rank that relative to sort of the vast wealth of mechanical engineering knowledge. So.
Right. So you're saying relative to the particular domain and the particular topic within that domain, you feel like you have high topic knowledge, enough to be, not within this level of expertise, which, skyrockets up here, but like you have been on this continual path upwards in terms of application. Does that sound similar to everybody else's justification? Does anybody have a different justification? Was there anybody that put themselves in early competence?
Thing to go off like the last point was that I put myself in acclimation. I think that the reason is because of the vast, like in relativity, education and career is like education is such a small portion of like your time learning and in career. So it's like typically it's 4 years of learning, and that's just like there's so much more to learn past that. So it's like almost that the process of learning in that 4 years is like all of the acclimation. And once you apply it, to me it's like that's when you like transition into competence and like expertise.
And what's your major?
Architecture.
Architecture. Interesting. Okay. What I'm hearing here, maybe if somebody wants to help me out here, mechanical engineer, right? Physics. Is it one or the other? Is it both?
Minor in physics, major in mechanical.
Okay, mechanical engineering with some physics, architecture. For those of you who don't know, I think these disciplines are very different in the way that they operate. I know more about the day-to-day of like what a mechanical engineer does as opposed to the day-to-day, like the general structure of architecture. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but like architecture is like a very competitive, very, like it's almost like law, where you have these firms that control everything, and then you have like people that have to work their way up in firms. And so just because you have the base architectural skills doesn't mean you have all of the relative knowledge about how to deal with your superiors or clients, or maybe some of the aesthetic considerations, or maybe there's just a whole host of unknown unknowns that you have to deal with later.
And I think also like to go off as part of why I think that way is because also like at least for the major of architecture it's very niche in the fact that once you graduate with like even a master's degree you're not technically an architect, you're only practicing architecture.
Oh,
So
interesting.
it takes like it's a process of like 7 years after the master's degree that like you become licensed. So you need like a lot of experience and then you need to like take an exam.
Wow.
So you're really not even an architect
wow, I did not know that.
That's the only time they can stamp their own drawings.
Right, we'll come to you, but and then that's very different from mechanical engineering. You can go out, get a job, but if you go into research, that sounds similar in that it's going to take another 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Because my major is criminology.
Criminology.
I'm a junior, and I would put myself like a little bit before middle, only because
Competence.
like yeah, in competence.
It's like right here.
Yeah, because my career path is essentially law school after this, and I feel like according to like the plan, it's just I don't feel like this is not the last stop, if that makes sense, because I feel like it just kind of keeps going up. And just to add on what she said too.
Right, right. Okay, this I know a lot more about. That was a serious consideration for me. Yeah, you get your undergrad degree, then maybe you'll get work experience, depending on whether the school you care for mandates that or not, or you don't. Then you do 3 years to get a Juris Doctorate, and then afterwards you go to a firm, or you go be a public defender, work for the state, and then from there it's like you continually go into new situations, which you can transfer knowledge, but you have to sort of reformulate, reconfigure, and update and do new things. I think this is all great. This is going to bridge into a sort of conversation later about what's going to be on the midterm next week. What I would really like for us to do, which I think we did a phenomenal job here, so I really applaud that, being able to identify where you are and justify it. And then what we haven't done yet is relate that to other topics within the course. That might be something that's on the test, who knows. But I think our foundation here is really great. What we would like to take away from this is that, again, we had traditional views of expertise, and now we have a much more granular idea about the different factors involved. And generalizing from a large N, we now have this sort of chart that we say maps onto or is explanatory in describing these constructs of expertise or not. So yeah, that was a lot. But the level of justification here is the exact thing that we're looking for. What is the sort of factual basis by which you can apply? What are the set of facts that lead you to determining what your use of surface level strategies is versus how much topic knowledge you have? It was brought up that you don't really know all of the potential topics within your domain at first. I forget what the curve is. I should know this. Is it the Dunning-Kruger? Is it like the more you don't know, you think you know? The more inexpert you are, the more expert you think you are. When in actuality, like we've heard of something like this before?
It's sort of like that, but if I remember correctly, it's that the people who know a lot do know that they know a lot, but the people that don't know a lot don't realize. It's like,
Isn't it the people who know a lot think they don't know a lot, but then the people who don't know a lot think that they know a lot, right? Is that it?
There's an intermediate at which you realize sort of how many topics are in your discipline, and you realize you don't know a lot. But then as you move on, I think most people, with 40 years of experience think they know a lot.
Right. This is not going to be on the test. This is something that you see on the internet a lot. I actually have no idea how true this actually is, or if this is just like something somebody constructed. But so I'm not making the claim that this is science. So don't say that I'm teaching you pseudoscience. Maybe I am, but this is not the thing I'm trying to teach you. Yeah. So like competence in respect to confidence. So like when you are incompetent, you think you have high confidence. But then as you learn more about what you don't know, you're like, oh my God, I don't know anything. And then it starts to get up more and more and more.
How dangerous is actually when you think when you're the most stupid, you know at least a little bit, and you latch onto that little bit, and you're like, I know everything.
Right, that is the problem. And we would like to avoid that if preferable.
Metacognition.
Say that again?
Is that a cognition? That's how you avoid that.
Yes, to be aware of how you are thinking. Yes. Okay, so I think this is like a generally good model. I think like in comparison to what we had before, we have to think about how science progresses. I think we might have this idea that science is giving us access to truth or a set of unassailable facts. These things are true. These are the things that we have to live by, whatever. This isn't biology. Even biology and neuroscience, it's about the interpretation of facts. And so previously, we established that traditional models of expertise were very binary. They also assumed that everybody had the ability to become an expert in any field. And you hear this, I don't know if you guys still hear this today, but if you want to be an expert in something, you have to put 10,000 hours into, you guys still, is that, people hear that? Do you believe it?
No,
Why?
it was 10,000 extra hours.
Can somebody do the calculation on that? Like if you do like 2 hours a day or 1 hour a day? I mean, 1 hour a day should be, this is like math that I should be able to do in my head. But I've outsourced that to, not AI, but to my lovely undergraduate students.
We got one talking
13 and a half years.
13 and a half years for 1 hour a day? 2 hours a day? That's 2 hours a day?
1 hour a day is 27.
27 years. Interesting. Yeah, I'm like trying to think like,
406, I mean, if we don't even do just like a certain amount of hours per day, that is 400 days, like straight.
400 days straight, 24 hours, no sleep?
I'm
No
never
sleep.
serious guy.
I don't have time for that.
Yeah, that's locking in, yeah.
I got plans that day.
Yeah, no, well, first of all, there's obviously this problem of like feasibility. Yeah, I totally concur. But I think the larger point that I'm trying to draw here is that there's also a saying in regards to practice. Practice makes perfect. Good practice makes better. I think that's a better way to look at it. Not practice just going through the motions. It has to be intentional. It has to be motivated, all these sorts of things. And so there was this idea, which again feeds into this like folk pop psychology of if you put 10,000 hours, you will get better. I just saw somebody from my high school who was doing an interview somewhere. He like did an MBA, and he was saying, what I do is I help people. I help them figure out how they can get more time in their day to achieve their goals. And if you don't put more time in your day, if you're not waking up at 4 or 5 a.m., then what are you really doing? I help people maximize their time. What?
like one of those gurus on
Yeah. And so they pull on, so the point here, I'm not, I guess I am jabbing at that guy, but
Unless you say his name, it's no problem.
say his name.
no, I will not do that.
Media doing this, he has to be.
Yes, but I will let you guys try to find that yourselves. Anyways, the point that I'm making here is that this idea that anybody can be an expert has proliferated through society. One of the key features of this model is that there are a set of features related to strategies, knowledge, and interest that allow or disallow somebody from actually being an expert, right? You can't be an expert if you always apply surface level strategies. And you might think, yeah, that's really obvious, but if you have ever talked to somebody who has the title of an expert or acts like an expert and you ask them questions and they can't go very deep into it, that is a clear expose as to why they're not an expert. But in a binary model, they have all of the right accolades, they have all of the right superficial features, not these ones. So what this is doing is really honing in on the set of features that are important. Now, with that said, do we have any issues with the model? It has taken a step forward, right? It has said we're not a binary classification. We have 6 features here, 3 features with 2 subsets, or a subset of 2 other features. It's an improvement, but what's wrong with it? What do we see as being an issue? Yes?
For me, I kind of see that like the knowledge and the processing strategies go kind of hand in hand. Like you can't have this high
Knowledge and processing.
and not be using deep processing strategies. But for me, when I look at it, like the interest ones, I feel like are obviously heavily correlated Well, then that has to increase, but the situational interest might not decrease as much for some people. So I think that like.
You mean increase?
No, situational increase is the red one that's decreasing.
You're saying situational increase might not decrease.
So much, like I feel like those ones aren't necessarily as black and white, if that makes sense. Like if you map that onto the graph.
Agree? Disagree?
To add on to that, I think there needs to be some sort of like error bars or distributions
Yeah.
that you that account for sort of the non-monolithic populace that we have, and also I think having a Y label would be nice so that we know what we're actually quantifying instead of just doing this sort of like qualitative comparison.
Right. Okay. So basically, what you're saying, just because like. I agree. I think that'd be really hard to visualize on the graph. But with respect to what we're saying, right, you're saying if this is one of the features, which feature does this map onto? Situational interest, right? This is, right. Okay, whatever. We're not going to do that. So having some range here to show like what the actual values are. Is everybody familiar enough with like standard deviations and just basic statistics to know that like there's a range of like actual situational interest here that is being like compressed into like the average situational interest? Is that fairly straightforward, right? Okay. Yes, I think that's valid. Any other points here that we find to be concerning or inaccurate to our definition of expertise or from what we've read? No? Going once? Let's wait for like 30 seconds. We'll see if people. It's good to be okay with silence.
I was gonna say, I actually agree with Cole, right? I agree with Cole. I think that the domain knowledge and as well as strategies associated with it have a more direct correlation, but interest accounts for more personal variables. And so I think that this model, like this chart, kind of puts them all together, like all six, and they're just correlating, I guess. But I think there's definitely more behind the scenes, and I think the interest portion of those six quantified groups has the most variables. So I think it just stands out to me in this model.
Let me know if I'm understanding your point correctly or if I'm rephrasing it correctly. You have 2 or 4 features here, the strategies and the knowledge. So domain and topic, deep processing, and surface level strategies. First, do strategies and knowledge. Those are probably more highly correlative. And then you have interest, which might be less correlative between those two, or between those two individually. And so you're almost saying, instead of just aggregating it all together, it might just be more useful to disentangle interest from knowledge and strategies. Yes?
Yeah, I think that's a really excellent point because, like, I think going back to like freshman year, I wouldn't consider myself anywhere near like middle to like competence, but like I've always had a vested interest in sort of like my long-term goals of how can I use this information to benefit my goal of becoming like a professor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this chart like heavily doesn't account for that because it's saying that you need to be middle or like confident in order for your individual interests to outweigh your situational interests, and there's probably so much personal variance there.
Right. Has anybody ever met a 4-year-old that loves Logan or Jake Paul before?
Yes.
Yeah, I have cousins, and it's horrible. And they bought like 7 carts or whatever they are of like Prime, and they're like, you need to have this. You don't understand. This is it. It's
The kids I babysit had their own fridge for Prime. They're in 1st grade. They don't need this. Oh my
I'm happy the example hit a nerve, but this is about to devolve into like a moral philosophy class, and so I think the point that we'll get from here is, do you think that their situational interest in Logan Paul is really high or really low? Really high. Are they experts in Logan Paul? Marvin's like, he doesn't want to say he's sorry, but yes, those one back here.
If they have unrestricted screen access, then yes, they probably are.
I would counter, and I would say they are expert in relation to what they observe, right? But so they might see a lot, but it's all a fugazi, right? It's not.
Paul, the entity versus Logan Paul, an actual person.
Yes, exactly. There is the thing that actually exists with all of its nuances and complexities, and the ideas of like the actual motivations for Logan Paul's actions, and then there's what is presented, right? So we could say that they're not really expert, even if their individual interest is so high that they proselytize about this person, this thing, or whatever. Like you can have obsessive thoughts and have incredibly high interest, but it doesn't really translate here, and that kind of breaks them out. Yes, Nate?
I guess going back to the conversation before Jake and Logan.
Yeah, sorry.
I've seen experts completely lose individual interest in whatever they're doing, and it's just situational to I guess sustain living or whatever keeps them going.
That's a great point. That is a phenomenal point, and that is where we're going to go next. I like what I do. I'm sure everybody likes what they do. How much time are you going to have if you have 2 kids and also a family to support and maybe another job while you're doing? How much time do you actually have for your individual interest to be this high? Like 0, right? It's hard. And I may sacrifice or be devoted to a thing and my individual interest might be all the way up here. And then all of a sudden it just drops off of a cliff when I'm 35 or 32 or God knows when. And it's I still retain the information that I've learned, hopefully, right? If I've actually engaged in deep processing strategies, I've knowledge built as opposed to information managed. This might still be up here, but the interest, maybe I just don't care, Maybe I'm a runner. I have such expert knowledge that I can get to the Olympics, but now I broke my leg and I don't think about running anymore. Maybe the updating of information that I'm getting is different, but the new knowledge that I'm integrating, but in terms of actual situational versus individual interest, that might not be represented here. I think those are great points. What might be asked of you on the midterm, I think we will transition here for a little bit. We'll take a little break and just talk about administrative things. My philosophy for evaluating students is, I think, honesty. I don't want to give you questions or things. We're talking about the midterm here now. I don't want to give you questions or things that are like gotchas. I think I'm taking a principle from actually working in the real world. Managers and bosses that give you very vague and nebulous instructions, and then when you fulfill the instructions as they're defined and they say, hey, that's not what I asked for, it's I did the best given what you have given me. I don't want you to try to decode my mind. I want you to read the instructions and understand the instructions. And so part of that is you'll probably see something like this on the test. Now, I'm not going to tell you what questions I'm going to ask, but I don't think class should be a waste of time. And if the examinations are supposed to be reflective of what we've learned, I think what we've learned in class by way of the questions that we're asking and the sort of analysis that we're doing might be useful. If you have a model in your mind of what I think, of what I should do, I would think, he seems fairly reasonable, and he cares about these topics enough to talk about it for an hour and 15 minutes. In respect to this, think, what have we talked about? What have I listened from my peers? What have I heard from my peers? What do I think about myself? Why might he ask where we are? Why might he be asking about the model? Does that make sense? Right? In regards to instruction, people, like just giving you a look behind the curtain, like people say, don't be so collegial with students. Collegial meaning like friendly or like communicative. Like, you're a teacher, you should come in and you should like command the room and whatever. And I think that's a philosophy of people that don't understand people, but they want to direct things. And so the point that I'm making here is that also translates into like talking about examinations and like what the expectations are. I will ask that you try. Like, you'll have an hour and 15 minutes. The exams are designed for a 50-minute course. You will have ample time. If you have ADS accommodations, please submit those now. I think, what is it, up to 2 days? If you could do it beforehand, that would be great. It's going to be on your laptops. There's going to be writing involved. The questions are going to have, they're going to be free response questions. And so they might ask you about your data. They might ask you about other people's data, not in particular, but like, what did your classmates say? What was a data point? You know, we had the IMKB data. We had the day in the life data. Being able to understand that and relate it to the topics, that's going to be the real sort of meat of the evaluation, yes and then yes.
How's the exam going to be graded? Like, how many free response questions?
I will grade it. And there will be 3 free response questions. This is a really good question. There will be 3 free response questions. Okay. There are 4 questions. 3 of them are of standard length. Of the first 3, I'll write this down just because I think it's easier and I don't want there to be any confusion. So there will be that's a P, free response question 1. There'll be free response question 2. There'll be free response question 3. And then there will be another free response question 4. Free response question 4 is going to be an extra credit question because I care about you. So that will be a certain amount of points with a certain amount of questions. You can choose whether you want to participate in that or not. Of the first 2, you get to choose which one you want to do. This one is mandatory. Question 3 is mandatory. Do we all know what mandatory means? Yes. It is mandated. It is required. Yes. Does that make sense to everybody?
Am I recalling correctly that we have our journal notes during this?
Yes. So the function of, let me just write, I should write over there. The function of the journal that you have been taking your reading summary notes in is fair game. You can use anything there. You are allowed to print off any information that you want. You can go to ChatGPT and ask all sorts of questions. I'll come back to you, sir. And print that out and bring it in. I don't know how useful that's going to be to you. But you'll be on your computer. You'll install and use the lockdown browser so you can't access anything else. And yes, and I think I satisfied that question. If I haven't, I'll come back. But Easter first, and then yes afterwards.
How do you suggest like we review or study for this, like content-wise? Like, how much
How expert do you want to be in the? I'm just kidding. I think so. You also have your learning portfolio, which is a set of tasks and assignments. There's 4 assignments in there that total up to like 30 points, 7.5 points each. And they kind of give you a general understanding of trying to like refocus some of the key parts of the class so far. So the information in there is going to be useful. I would familiarize yourself with the key topics from each class. So you should know what information management is. You should know what knowledge building is. You should know traditional models of expertise or what the traditional model of expertise entailed. We don't have a definitive traditional model. You should know what the model of domain learning is. You don't have to memorize this. Don't memorize this. I don't care about memorizing charts and graphs. We have machines that can do that for us. The question is the analysis. Where are you and why? You have day in the life survey questions. You have day in the life data. It takes a lot of time to like put that all into these nice little charts. I don't do it for my health. I do it for your health. If I put in an hour and a half to get those charts to look pretty, why do you think I put an hour and a half to do that, right? Like put yourself in my shoes. Like why would I devote time, not waste, why would I devote time to a certain thing? So just look back over the topics. What were the things I really tried to hit on? And there shouldn't be unexpected things. So main topics, theories, how that might relate to other theories, how people in the class have talked about it. I'm really interested to know how you justify things. This whole course, the way that I've presented this course has not been, here's information, you have to memorize it. I don't think that's useful. The philosophy of this course is you very well may forget everything about this course, and I am 100% fine with that. But what will you be able to do with the information? If you can analyze things critically, connect different points of views, different theories, connections, that's the optimal goal. And if that's the optimal goal, maybe I want to evaluate that in the examination. There was a question here. Yes, and we'll come up here. Yeah. This is the formative question every semester. What are you looking for? I've asked this question before, and I've had professors that are like, this is a college course. You should be able to determine what you think the right amount of information is. I think this question comes from having very prescriptive teachers that say, this is the thing that you need. I will give you the benefit of the doubt for most things. If you make a claim, the questions will be very explicit as to what they're asked. I'm not going to give you a word count or a sentence count. If the exam is for an hour and there are 2 questions you have to answer, right? Actually answer, and you give me like 2 sentences for each, it's possible you can get 100%. Those just have to be the best, most information-dense sentences that have to exist, right? So like I would just say like, think about it more in relation to time spent on the question. So if we have an hour, we have an hour and 15, think about it. If I spent 30 minutes on this question, if I'm thinking about it for 15 minutes and I'm purely writing for another 15 minutes, how much is that going to look like? Or maybe you're thinking for 20 minutes and you're writing for 10. Or maybe you're thinking and you're writing and it's the whole 30 minutes. So like, just please don't give me like three sentences for like the whole question. Like that's not. The question will explicitly state what we're looking for. Yes, and then we'll come here and then we'll come there.
Is this Tuesday or Thursday?
Thursday. So this is a problem. Do you have a different?
Yeah, question.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there a rubric? I just.
There will be a rubric for the grading,
Okay.
but I will not give you the rubric
Oh.
beforehand, because the rubric will have information that I think is not that will undermine the examination portion of this. There was a question back here, I believe. Yes.
What are the questions gonna look like? Or like, are you gonna have us go back to like other readings we've done and like find evidence or map that support our claim in relation to?
Good question. Very good question. For the sake of transparency, I'm not trying to get you. I'm not trying to say, in week 3, in this reading, what was this person's main point about this subtopic? I'm not going to do that. But what I will do is I will ask you about a topic, and for every sort of substantive claim, so if I say something about knowledge building is XYZ, we need a citation for that. Now, you can cite a reading, you can cite a lecture, you can cite a conversation that we had in office hours, that's fine. You can cite the videos, that's perfectly fine. There needs to be a citation. The citation needs to be accurate. The citation can be lecture on IMKB. That's satisfactory to me. I just need to know where the information is coming from, and you're not just pulling it out of the air because it sounds right. If you say lecture, if we're talking about model of domain learning, and you, if we're talking about model of domain learning and you cite something from early September, like I'm not just going to mark you wrong for that citation. I'm going to say this is an unsubstantiated claim and I can't do anything with this. And so like we have to, for the purpose of this class, I really want us to think like scientists. If you think I'm here, there's a level of expectation that an expert wants, right? There's like, I just want to see that you have, that you're sourcing from the right place. And hopefully this isn't scary, right? I'm not making this feel, I'm hoping this is more approachable and less like, oh my God, I have a midterm.
Sorry, this is like really funny to me because literally yesterday or the day before yesterday, I was like, sorry, actually this is a tangent. I'm not gonna say it.
Okay, we'll talk about it afterwards. Any other points or questions about this? Yes, Nate?
You mentioned like citing sources, like
Yeah.
maybe just like say like the title. I mean, for specifically even in my summaries, I don't exactly have the title of the text. Do you want us to like have those like specified?
You could say, as long as I know what you're talking about, I will give you the benefit of the doubt. Like if you say like the reading on expertise, that's fine. I don't need like Alexander 97 or whatever. I just need to know where it comes from. I don't want you to waste your time on. Let me write down everything, and I have the perfect mapping. It's irrelevant. Yeah, and then.
First test in college. Is it gonna be here?
Yes. It will be in person. It will be online. Well,
We'll be here on our computers.
yes. If you have a preference to not do it on a computer, like type it out, which I don't think is the overarching opinion, the general opinion, I can give you a handwritten, but that will be the outlier. If anybody wants that, they can request that. If you don't have access to a computer, that's totally fine. I can get you a computer. If you have access to a computer but you just don't want to bring yours, that's not going to cut it because I have a limited supply of computers. I have one personal computer and there's that computer over there. And if there's any more than that, I will have to go find computers for people. I think we should be okay, but if we're not, you can send me an email, you can talk to me after class. I want everybody to have access to the same level of technology for this.
You can take them out of McKeldin, like laptops.
Oh yeah?
They, like,
And keep them too?
Yeah.
Yes, Terrence, I appreciate that, thank you.
For the lockdown browser, it's been a while since I used it.
Yeah.
Do we have to install it in advance, or how does that work?
What we'll do is on Tuesday next class, I'll make an announcement. Everybody bring your laptops if you have one, or communicate to me beforehand that you need one, and we will install the lockdown browser on Tuesday, so that way we are not wasting time on Thursday.
It's gonna be a problem if I'm not the administrator of my computer and it's installing. Because it won't even let me change the time zone. Like,
That is a procedural question that I think we will be able to address on Tuesday. Okay. Yes.
It's kind of specific, but for people with accommodations, do you want us to like schedule that to be taken at the ADS office?
Yes.
Okay, so don't come here.
No. If you have ADS accommodations and they're related to time, which I think is the biggest issue, because like, if I had this class for however many hours, I would stay here. Like, it doesn't matter to me. I would like to be able to answer questions easier. But if you have like extended time accommodations, we just don't have the classroom, unfortunately. So I would, yes, if you have ADS accommodations, please make those accommodations now. And there is absolutely nothing I can do if you wait too long and the time has passed for that. I would love to help, but I just can't. It's an administrative thing. I will get in trouble. I'd like to keep my job. So there's a sense of personal responsibility there. Yes?
I just wanted to point out that means today, because it has to be a week in advance.
It has to be a week in advance? Okay, so yes, so today is the last day. Yeah, okay. And we have time for that. Yeah, we have time. So please do that within the next 2 business hours. Any other questions? The other thing about this, before we return briefly to the topic here, is it has been brought to my attention that Thursday is Yom Kippur, and I was unaware of that when I scheduled the exam. My deepest apologies, I should have done that. And I'm not entirely sure what the remedy will be. I'm thinking maybe, just thinking out loud here, maybe we do it on Tuesday. I'll come back to your question. Maybe for people who are unable to come on Thursday for religious reasons, can take the exam on Tuesday during lecture in my office. And yeah, any qualms with that? No? Okay, I think we'll run with that. Well, yeah, we'll do that. And then you can just watch the video of Tuesday, and then hopefully that's fine, right? Hopefully that's not an issue. There was a question, Khadijah.
Oh yeah, are all the slides posted?
I do my best to upload them a day or two afterwards or before. I don't think all of them are up there, but I will this weekend, like, update everything. So all the slides are available. If you want to print out all the slides, you are so free to do that. The only thing that I would say is, like, now we're in a information management game where you have to like search through everything if you want to answer every question, because the questions are like, here is this overarching question, here are 3 sub-questions to answer, right? So like, you could be answering up to 10 questions if you're going to do the extra credit stuff. It's like, that takes a lot of time, but yeah, I will post everything. Yes?
What about the learning portfolio?
Yes, okay, perfect, okay, thank you. I felt like I couldn't remember what it was that I wanted to go to
On
next.
the next exam thing, if we're moving
Yeah.
if we, like, I do my learning journal on a tablet, is it going to be okay to use like airplane mode? Or?
Yeah, I'll check with you. Yeah, that's not a problem. Yeah, let me just log in here, folks. Great question. Thank you for bringing that up. So originally, the learning portfolio was due tomorrow on the 26th. I updated the public-facing syllabus down here such that it is due. This I need to remove. We're not going to do that because that's going to be in the portfolio. I moved that into the portfolio. So it'll be due the 30th. It used to be due the 26th, but I updated it on here. I need to update the syllabus in files, but this should also be updated in assignments. And here we are. Yeah, okay. That has been done. So the learning portfolio. I think what I'm going to do, has anybody completed the learning portfolio? No? Has anybody started it yet? Perfect, okay. I'm just gonna get rid of this. Does anybody want to do SMART goals? Nah? Okay. There. Now everything's going to be 10 points. How does that sound? Does that sound good? Yeah? No raucous applause for saving time. Yeah, so essentially what we're going to do is you're going to have like 3 different things to, it's basically a large assignment to encapsulate the topics and conversations that we've had for this portion of the course. The first one that we're going to do, well first, was there a specific question about this or just am I doing what you're looking for? Okay. This is fairly simple. This one, like a paragraph. What is learning to you? We've talked about it. If you copy and paste what is on the slide, I will give you 0 points. I'm just going to be honest with you. If you copy and paste something from the reading, I will give you 0 points. This will be the easiest 10 points if you just give me your personal definition and substantiate it with 2 pieces of evidence from the course. One from the perceptions of learning, or the perceptions or the principles of learning, and something else from the course. It can be as vague or specific as possible, justify it, right? So what I'm really saying here is give me your definition, 1 to 2 sentences, and then have 2 or 3 sentences that explain each piece of evidence, right? I just want to know where you're at. I want you to think about learning from your perspective related to your life. Second one is the knowledge map. Has anybody done a knowledge map before? No? The idea of a knowledge map is pretty straightforward. Again, we're really just trying to get you to think about the relationship between topics, because maybe I'll ask you about the relationship between topics. So we learned about deep processing strategies today. Deep processing strats. Okay. This will be the start of my knowledge graph. Someone say a topic that we have covered that is similar or relates to deep processing strategies. Knowledge building. I'm just going to do KB. How does it relate? Is it the same thing? It's directed. It's knowledge building informs deep processing strategies, or deep processing strategies inform knowledge building, or is there just like a relationship between them? There's overlapping features.
I feel like deep processing it leads to like knowledge building when you apply it.
Great. So I'm not going to give an answer. I'm not going to do your homework for you. If you have this in your homework, that's great, because that's something we want you to learn in the class. But we want you to have 10 different topics. You should be able to substantiate how each thing is actually related. And I think I'm going to update that instead of 1 to 2 connections, because I just took out something that will take a lot of time. So this is the trade-off. 2 of these connections describe what the connection actually is. Like, do they share features? Does one feed into the other? Is one a subset of the other? Is one something that is produced by the other? I don't know, right? And so you should have, just let me do this. So like you might have like topic 3, topic 4, topic 5. Maybe this is related here. This is related here, right? And then maybe you have more topics here. And then you have your own unique chart in the way that these different topics are related to each other. Yes?
Is it 10 including the one in the middle? Or
Yeah, just 10 topics, theories, anything. Don't put something like these are topics related to the course. So like don't bring up like please don't bring up Dunning-Kruger. That's not really important. But like IMKB, knowledge building, et cetera, et cetera. How do you create it? Just like paper and pen.
Okay.
And then just take a photo. Yeah, or I mean you could do it in some editor online. Yes, Khadijah, and then Joey, and then I'll come back to you. You can, so the submission is like you put files, you can link files. So you could put everything into like a Google Doc, or you could put everything into a Word document, or you could write it all by hand and then take photos. And then the last thing, we've still got like a minute, guys. We've still got 2 minutes. I want to make sure this is clear. Oh, there were other questions. Who else? Was Joey and then Diana? Yes, Joey.
I don't remember.
Okay, we can come back.
Yep.
Diana?
I was just wondering if on the math there necessarily needs to be one that's in the
Something?
if on the math there necessarily needs to be a topic that's in the middle.
No. No. I will say I've had knowledge maps that are like this. This is unacceptable. This is, okay, I can see this. I don't want a bicycle, people. I don't want a sun. I don't want, this is meaningless to me. Topic, learning. Or I've had this before, and I've told the student, please don't do this. I will take off a lot of points. And then, you know what I get next time? So like, no, we don't need something here. Just like whatever structure, it should be your own unique structure. It's trying to like take the relations that you have in your head, putting them up against the wall so you can like actually see them.
Yeah, does like AI and the difference between AI and like human learning count as a
Yes, all of those things we talked about in the videos count. And then these other things, these are fairly self-explanatory. If you're not going to do these, I think these are really good to help prepare. So if you're not going to do them, at least answer them in your head and have a satisfactory answer. We will have a review day next Tuesday. So we will go over some requisite things that should be that should be very helpful with the studying. If there are any questions, please let me know. It was a pleasure today, like always, even if my dexterity is not there. And I'll see you all on Tuesday. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.